Coming up on Pet Heroes, an encounter with an injured dog radically changes the course of one man's life. And the work of a therapy dog makes an impact in the lives of people, both young and old. Hi, I'm Jason McCoy, and welcome to Pet Heroes. Pet lovers know how their animal companions can enrich their day-to-day lives, but what about long-term? We look at the incredible stories of two special canines who made a lasting impact in the lives of those they touched. Since 1999, Mike Arms has been president and CEO of the Helen Woodward Animal Center. But the welfare of four-legged creatures wasn't always on his radar.
I grew up on a farm in Kentucky. I had no interest in working with animals, that I am in the business of saving orphaned animals. This is my product. They're very special to me, and I spend my life marketing them, promoting them, and giving them a second chance in life. So I'm in the business of saving lives.
Mike's remarkable story begins in New York City in the late 1960s.
When I was done with school, I decided I want to go where the money is, and I went to New York, and I went to an employment agency. And the fellow that was giving me the interview said, well, you're from Kentucky, you must like animals. So I said, animals are okay, I would never hurt one, but let's get on with this interview. And he said, how would you like to work for the ASPCA? It's a place that takes care of unwanted, mistreated, abused, and neglected animals. I said, I have no interest in that. They said, well, look good on your resume that you got involved in something so large at such a young age. It'll be a great stepping stone for you. So he convinced me.
But if Mike was reluctant at first, he soon becomes entirely discouraged. His career in animal protection services proves a nightmare.
It wasn't for me. In 7 months, I lost 25 pounds. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. I was tormented by what I was witnessing. At that time, that organization was killing 140,000 animals a year, and there was no discrimination. It made no difference. It was the cutest 8-week-old puppy, 8-week-old kitten, the most magnificent golden retriever or Siamese cat. It made no difference. The holding period was 24 hours. If nobody adopted the animal or claimed the animal in 24 hours, they were killed. That's what we were doing to these beautiful animals that mankind says they love so much. So I wanted no part of this so-called animal welfare world. I figured to save my sanity, I had to get out. Gave my 2 weeks notice, but then something was about to change my life.
I need you to go.
6 days before I was to leave the ASPCA, the secretary came in and said, Mike, we have a dog hit by a car on Davidson Avenue in the Bronx. I said, all right, get a driver and get the dog. So that's just it. We have no drivers available, and this one's supposed to be in very bad shape. I just took off my suit jacket, put on a uniform jacket, and took the ambulance out myself.
Mike struggles to find the injured dog. His search takes him into a dangerous and unfamiliar part of town.
When I got to Davidson Avenue, this little tan and black terrier mix was laying in the street, but he was bent almost backwards in half.
It's immediately apparent to Mike that he has to get this animal off the street, into the ambulance, and to the animal hospital.
So I'm standing above this little one. He's shaking so badly from fear and pain. Just as I was about to reach down for him, these 3 fellas came out of this apartment building doorway. They started yelling, what the hell do you think you're doing? I said, it's obvious, this little one's dying. I'm taking it to the hospital. They said, no, you're not taking it anywhere. I said, why, is this your dog? They said, no, we're betting on how long it's gonna live. No feeling of emotion on them whatsoever. I said, well, you guys are really sick. And then I reached down, and I scooped this little one up, and I'm holding him cradled in my arms. And he is shaking so vehemently, I thought he was gonna fall. So I just looked down at him, and he was staring into my eyes with his beautiful brown eyes, and he held me spellbound for those seconds in time. And his body just seemed to calm, as if to say, I feel safe now.
But Mike is far from safe. The three men who accosted him have no intention of letting the dog go.
Little did I know that my life was about to change.
Coming up after the break, Mike's world is turned upside down as he's brutally attacked and left for dead. Mike Arms, an animal protection officer in New York, prepares to transport a badly injured terrier to the hospital. The only thing standing in his way are three dangerous men.
I felt a crack across the back of my head, and at that time, I didn't know it was a bottle. Then I saw the bat coming. And then when I saw the knives, and I actually saw one sticking out of my leg, and I thought I was going to die. This was it. This was the end of my life, right then and there. Now the roles are reversed. I'm the one lying dying in the street that day. But that's when I found the compassion that these animals have for us, that we as human beings will never be able to emulate.
Wendy McClellan, a doctor of veterinary medicine, offers her unique perspective on animal behavior.
A bond can form so quickly. Just like with people, a small act of kindness can go a long way. And that act of kindness was obviously felt by this dog towards Mike.
I felt something wet against my face, and I kept feeling it and feeling it until I opened my eyes. And when I opened my eyes and I was staring at his beautiful brown eyes one more time, and I realized what was taking place. That little one should not have been able to move by any shape of the imagination, but he found a way to crawl to my side, and he licked me back to consciousness. I mean, the heart that that animal showed, the pain that he endured to come to my side, because he cared enough about the act of kindness I gave him before he left. He was going to return that favor. I could have stayed in that street and been unconscious and just passed over, but this little one was going to make sure that that didn't happen, and this little one was putting purpose in my life.
The licking behavior exhibited by the dog in this case could be for a number of reasons. It's a submissive gesture, it's a compassionate gesture, it's a bond-forming gesture, as well as it could be a resuscitation. Mother dogs will lick their young in an attempt to get them to breathe. In this case, it was a combination of all these.
After a painful struggle to revive Mike Arms, the injured dog passes away.
I laid in that street and I cried and I prayed, don't do it. Don't take my life today. Give me one more chance, and I promise you I'll devote it to them. Well, seconds after I made that promise, not minutes, but seconds after I made that promise, my friend closed his eyes and he crossed over a rainbow bridge, and we will take our walk someday that was meant to be.
Very close to death, Mike is discovered and rushed to the hospital.
And they come up and they took me to Westchester Square Hospital and started sewing me back together again. And, you know, I had a cracked skull, you know, from a bottle and a bat being broken over my head, and stab wounds.
Dr. Connie Varnigan, a professor of psychology at the University of Alberta, teaches advanced courses on the human-animal bond.
The human-animal bond there's a number of theories to it, and one of them, which is a fabulous theory in its evolutionary base, is called the biophilia hypothesis, that we have evolved as humans to love nature. Okay? We love our dogs. We tend to keep the domesticated animals that serve our needs in particular ways. And one of those needs can be being member of the pack. Okay? An animal that loves us as unconditionally as we love them. So maybe animals also respond within the biophilia theory that they have evolved to love us as well.
I had a purpose and went right back to the ASPCA, forgot about leaving, stayed there for another 8 years.
From the ASPCA, Mike Arms moved to the North Shore Animal League of America, where he increased adoptions from 50 a week to 850 a week, turning it into the largest pet adoption agency in the world.
And then that wasn't enough for me. Then I decided to help organizations around the country. And then that career path led me here to this center where I decided that this will be my last stop.
See how they bounce right back? She was just spayed yesterday.
At the Helen Woodward Animal Center, Mike has initiated programs and pet therapy sessions to aid in the adoption of thousands of pets. From the IAMS Home for the Holidays program to Animal Shelter Education Services, or ACES, their successes are shared with animal shelters from around the globe.
And so we look at things differently. I tell them, don't put one kitten in a cage, don't put 3 kittens in a cage, put 2 kittens in a cage, and give them names, Peanut Butter and Jelly, Peaches and Cream, Bonnie and Clyde. So when the families come in, they take Peanut Butter out of the cage, and then Jelly just looks so sad, well, they can't leave it behind. So they'll adopt the 2 of them. So it'll increase your pet adoptions by 10% overall.
Mike's story is an epic example of how one animal can change your life. In my practice, I see it every day. Animals changing their humans' lives for the better.
That day gave me purpose in life. More than anything else that ever happened in my life, that gave me a purpose. I get up every day, I know what I'm supposed to do. This was somebody's plan. This was that man up there's plan that was going to change my life so I can help change others. But from that day to now, I have done nothing with my life but devoted to them. From that day to now, I have helped facilitate and save more than 6 million animals, and I figure I have a couple of million more in me to go before my time comes. There is absolutely, in my mind and in my heart of hearts, there is no doubt that this was meant to be.
I had one tonight.
Next, a clinical art therapist finds an inspiring new coworker in the form of a dog named Tangus who has incredible gifts.
We just saw the dramatic impact a wounded dog's final act of compassion made in the life of Mike Arms. Next, we look at the story of Straja Linder King and an exceptional dog who forever inspired her life's work.
Just sleep good, quiet. Good, leaving. Good.
Straja Linder King lives in Calgary, where she's a clinical art therapist and a licensed counselor.
All the work that I do as a licensed counselor involves non-verbal treatment modalities, and hence the animal-assisted therapy is another non-verbal. I work with people where words are inadequate or not quite available, or due to trauma are shut right down.
Straja's dog Tumbra works alongside her as a co-therapist and comes from a rare and highly intelligent breed known as Shiloh Shepherds.
We do everything together. We teach together and we work together. We're joined at the hip.
Shiloh Shepherds are a rare breed. They're slightly larger than normal shepherds. They're bred for their intelligence, their stable temperaments. It's their ability to kind of shift with the situation, as well as their gentle temperament, that make them perfect candidates for therapy work.
But before Tumbra, Straja worked with another amazing co-therapist, Tangus.
I wanted a dog that would challenge me and engage me in a deep way, that was smart, that had innate wisdom that I would work with. I had an art show and met a woman who breeds Shiloh Shepherds in Virginia. The breeder had lined it up so that Tangus was brought to the Calgary airport when I finished that function. I knew that this was going to be a co-therapist, I knew it was going to be a co-teacher, and I knew truly that I would have such a deep engagement with Tangus. Tangus, I knew right from when he was 12 weeks old that he was going to be teaching me as much as I would be doing the training and teaching. It would be, the reciprocity would be big. Tangus had such a presence. It didn't matter where I went. Everybody would just stop. Everybody came and circled around him. And you can't train that. He works with right through from little children, preschoolers, right up to the frail elderly. And it is a way to express and to start a dialogue that is very difficult to do between people, animals have their own innate gifts that help open that up.
Retired nurse Kathy Gates recalls her time with Tangus.
Well, I had seen pet therapy when I worked in inpatient mental health. People would bring their pets in and I could see how patients would respond to that. So I definitely wasn't skeptical. My work with Straja began when I had a client from the community go into a designated assisted living facility, very ill, would retreat, become isolated, wouldn't engage with other residents. My first impression was I wondered how this dog was going to work with people. And the connection that the dog had with the adults, it took them into their own world with him.
The success that dogs have doing therapy work can be attributed to the fact that they have a natural calming influence on people. By petting dogs, it lowers your blood pressure, making you feel more relaxed, lowers that nasty stress hormone cortisol, leaving you feeling calm and more open.
Dr. Connie Varnigan's research helps us further understand the incredible connection we have with dogs.
Dogs are so attuned to people. So we don't share many genes with a dog, right? But we share a ton of genes with a chimpanzee, okay? So you would think that if we are, say, yawning in front of a chimpanzee, the chimpanzee's gonna yawn. Because as humans, if I yawn to you, you're gonna yawn back at me. Okay, chimps don't care. Okay, if we point in the same direction, in one direction, you'd think a chimpanzee is gonna look at it. Not at all. If you yawn at a dog, he'll yawn. If you point in a direction, the dog will look in that direction. So dogs are so attuned to what humans are doing.
Tangus has taught me to let go of reflecting on the past, having fears, anticipatory worries, and staying fully present, because that's what our animals are. They stay present and they are what they are. Us two-leggeds carry a lot of baggage, and dogs go, hey, all we have is right now. So patience, tolerance, unconditional love, safe touch, tactile qualities. Oh my gosh, I could go on and on and on.
Beatrice, this is Tangus. Tangus, Beatrice.
Young people who have experienced trauma often develop trust issues and have difficulty in communicating, so sometimes it's difficult to make that connection. But with Tangus, it allows them to open up in a way that they normally wouldn't do with an adult. Whether it's someone that's facing physical challenges, losses, numerous losses or limitations, even mental disabilities or at-risk youth, Tangus, he's in tune with their emotional state, with where they're at that time, and offers them safe touch. And that's a way for them to begin opening up and allowing them to express themselves fully.
As Tangus grows closer to retirement, he chooses a successor to continue his therapy work.
Tangus got to see 2 litters, 22 puppies, and Tumbra is who he came home with. They were inseparable.
Tangus was really a guide for Tumbra. I noticed that he was the strength in the relationship. And Tumbra would watch. You could see him watching very intently. You could see him following, trying to do what Tangus was doing.
Tangus had an incredible impact on Tumbra's learning because I had Tumbra at Tangus's side for probably 9 months, and it was called Team Tangus, and Tangus expedited his training.
At 9 years old, Tangus is discovered to have an incurable neurological disorder. Straja brings him home from the hospital for what will be his last night.
I sat with him in the backyard for that last night, and I knew that's the saddest part of that, and it was unexpected death.
After Tangus died, I really noticed a change in Tumbra. He began to mature. He began to take on the things that I saw Tangus doing. And I've been quite amazed at how much he's grown in the time that I now have spent with him, in the work that he's done.
Do you want to read?
In the reading program that Straja and Tambra do, it's a group of children who come from various cultures. Some of them are quite calm, shy. Some of them are extremely anxious. Some have behavioral issues. And when they come in immediately, they are just drawn to the dog. He has an ability to have a whispering ear. He has one ear up and one ear down. And the children are allowed to come up, greet Tambra. They can whisper a secret in his ear. For some of the children, it's an ability to release something that has been penned up within them. And they know that the dog will keep the secret, and they feel safe in being able to lift up his ear and whisper their secret.
The greatest gift now is the fact that Tangus passed his teachings on to Tambra. Tangus has irrevocably, truly changed the way that I counsel and the way that I interact with people. He's indelibly marked my soul so that my engagement with animals will be lifelong.
Through Tambra, Straja Linder-King continues the animal-assisted therapy work she started with Tangus.
And Mike Arms remains dedicated to finding homes for animals thanks to the compassionate act of one dying stray.
Their work continues to enrich the lives of countless others due to the connection they shared with two special animals that will always be remembered as pet heroes.